Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of the AK upgrade. On a previous video I talked about that I needed to torque the castle nut in between 30 and 35 foot-pounds, and so that's what I'm going to do here. And it's a relatively simple thing, just chuck it up in the vise, and your torque wrench will click when it hits that. So what I wanted to do with the trigger was just go ahead and polish up some of the shiny parts. The shiny parts here are from normal wear, where the bolt carrier and the bolt and the trigger and all the hammer and everything kind of meet, where all those metal surfaces meet. So I'm not necessarily looking to file down or remove a lot of metal. Basically all I want to do is polish these surfaces. So if we think about kind of these parts, and if we were looking at them, and this is going to be sort of a gross exaggeration, if we kind of looked at the surface, we would see that the surface is sort of uneven. And with polishing, what I'm hoping to do is not necessarily remove it to where it's a perfectly smooth surface, but kind of knock off the high spots, if that makes sense to you guys, to where it gives it the best chance for the operation to go smoothly. So I just got out the Dremel and used a stainless steel wire wheel and give it a little bit of a polish. So here we see the AK Master mount, and what this allows you to do is to put an optics rail, so something like an RS Regulate. Interesting thing, the pins are different. The trigger pin will not fit in the hammer, so it only goes into the actual trigger. It has a, I guess a sleeve or something like that on there that makes it a little bit larger. And then we'll need to reassemble. You'll see that the spring goes down into that little divot there, and then when you reassemble into the rifle, you'll need to just kind of smush that down a little bit. And of course, it's none of it's rocket science. It's all relatively simple. Just make sure everything lines up. Now we need to put the hammer back in, and of course this thing is under a lot of spring tension, so you do want to tie it up or wire it. Use a bread tie or a zip tie or something. I'm just using an old bread tie here, and that way when I go to put the thing in, the legs of that spring don't want to pop off and bite me in the hand. And again, relatively simple stuff. Just put it in, make sure the bolts go through. When you do your final assembly, put a little bit of that blue thread locker on there. I don't know, I didn't see in the instructions or anything, I don't know if there's any particular spec that you're supposed to torque these screws down to. I just got them in there to where they were snug, and I figured that the Loctite will probably do its job for me. Now here's a little bit of a problem. Now this is an exaggeration because I've taken the screw out on the other end. But once I got the thing in, it did sit proud. And my concern was that if I go to put a optics mount on there, that if that screw is sitting up, that it won't allow it to lock in properly. If you'll notice on the back, that one sits nice and flush. And so I thought, well, is it that the bolt's too long? And after looking at it, the solution I came up with wasn't to do anything with the back here. That's not really where the problem was lying. But it was with the front of the bolt. Also, I thought in this rounded section here, I may be able to take a drill bit and kind of drill down into there to where it will sit down in there a little bit without changing over the hex patterns, the hex pattern on the bolt. So what I did is went to the grinder and very, very slowly took a little bit off, and then I would come back with a file and try and keep it kind of level, and then I'd go back to the grinder and then file a little bit more. And eventually the result I got was what I wanted, which was in the back it sits nice and flush, and in the front here it sits actually a little bit below, but I don't have any concerns. There's still plenty of meat left on there, so after this, you'll pretty much just button up the rifle and make sure everything works. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.